Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and the Spirit Walker. Today is the 26th Sep 2023 and today marks the second day of my recovery against cancer. Sorry in advance, but I'm technically quite exposed on the right side because I just did my um, chemo pot surgery today, and as you can see there's a bandage patch on the right side of my chest. So the surgery was done under sedation, probably something around like 40 minutes, but it took me close to more than 90 minutes before I actually fully was conscious. But um, I I would show you the chemo pot, but unfortunately because it's a brand new surgery, so the chemo pot is under all the patches at the moment. So, but once it's fully healed, I will show you guys how it actually looks like. Um, but yeah, so the chemo pot, it will be under the skin, and once it's fully healed, you can't actually see it except for a bump. That's at least that's what the doctor said. And how the chemo pot functions is that right now you see wires popping out of the patch itself, but once it's sealed and when it's not in use, there is no wires there. So it's just fully under the skin. And every time you need to use the pot, then yeah, they will prick a small hole on the pot and they will connect the wires as you can see. So how how a chemo pot actually functions is that it's actually the same as the IV line that you guys saw on my right hand. It's no longer there now because I have the pot now. And in the long run, a chemo pot is more viable than having an IV line on the hand itself because you're going to come for chemo multiple times, multiple rounds. So, like in my case, it's probably going to be six rounds of chemo plus another 2 rounds of post antibody recovery cycles. So it's probably something like 8 rounds. And if every time I come, they have to prick me on the hand, eventually my hand will be all bruised up. And it also kind of depends on luck because if your nurse or the doctor who is pricking the IV on your hand is not efficient, it's going to take multiple tries, and it's honestly just traumatizing to have multiple times of pricking of the IV on the hand because it's not a fun sensation, and every time one time they fail, then your hand technically is uh, bruised all the way. So having a chemo pot effectively replaces the need of having an IV on the hand. It functions the same way. When you need to draw blood, previously with the IV on the hand, if you draw blood, then you draw blood from the IV on the hand. If you want to pump medicine, drip liquid, everything is done through the hand itself. But with the replacement of having the pot, now everything is done through the pot and it's a lot faster. Drawing blood through my hand previously, you have to do something like 2 rounds. But right now with the pot, it's a lot more effective because the pot is a lot closer to the heart, and also because it's so close to the tumor itself. So pumping of the chemo, medicine, um, the liquid into my body, everything is far more efficient to have the pot. But of course, having the pot itself comes with its own drawbacks, um, as what the doctor said. He said that down the road probably you might develop infection if you don't take care of it well. You might have internal bleeding, and you might get clogged up. So if any of this situation happens, then you probably have to go through another round of sedation to remove the pot and relocate the pot to another place. But let's just hope that does not happen. And the chemo pod will be in the body for far longer than the chemo itself. Once you're done with chemo, the 6 and the plus 2 rounds of recovery, antibody recovery in my case, the chemo pod will be there for a minimum of another 2 years. The reason is that in the event that post chemo something does happen, probably they detected some extra cancer cells, something like that, they can reuse the pod without having to go through another chemo pod insertion another round. So it remains available at any time. So from the doctor's advice is that it will be there probably something like 2 years to to something like 4 years post chemo. So if you include chemo of 1 year, then it's probably something like 3 to 5 years. Then you can have the option to remove it. Post 5 years, it's entirely up to you whether do you want to remove it or not. Because if you're worried of a relapse, you can actually leave the chemo pod in for the rest of life. That's for sure. But if you're going to leave it on, you have to do post maintenance care. So what I mean by that is that when you're not actually using it actively during chemo, every month you have to come back for like a daycare kind of thing. You come to the hospital, they will get you prepped up, they will prick a hole inside the pod, and they will flush out whatever's inside the chemo pod itself. This is to make sure that the chemo pod remains open and not clogged up. So that's the maintenance that you have to do, assuming you keep it for life. And if let's say you don't, then yeah, you risk having infections and things like that again. So personally, if once I'm done with everything, hopefully, I mean once I'm cancer free and all, I do not plan to have this for the rest of my life. Honestly, I would. I mean, it's not a nice thing to have for the rest of my life. So yeah, I would most probably remove it. But yeah, it is an option for people who wants to have it for the rest of life. So yeah, as for the treatment updates, so the doctor actually the chemo will not start right away. So the chemo will start something like on the 28th. But as for tomorrow, they will start prepping my body with some form of antibody. They will drip something inside me for a duration of 6 to 7 hours in a row, and the chemo will start the day after. So I mean they will pump it through this pod as well. As you can currently see, there's also a wire attached, and they're actually dripping liquid right into my body as we speak. So this liquid will be I'm not exactly sure what this liquid is for, but it will be dripped throughout the night until I start my antibody dripping tomorrow morning itself. The insertion of chemo pod is obviously I mean it's painful, but I'm glad my doctor was the guy who did my chemo pod was fairly chill about it. And midway through the operation itself, I actually did wake up. I can't respond to whatever was happening, but I could actually hear probably something like a 10 or 20 seconds before I knocked back out again. Yeah, but he was playing some music, some gym music before we even started surgery. I mean, a fairly nice guy, and the doctors here and the nurses that attended today during my surgery were surprisingly quite close. I was surprised. But overall, I think the experience was not that traumatizing. It's fairly straightforward procedure, and um, I wouldn't say it's painless. It's not as painful as you think, but yeah, it is what it is. So that's about what the chemo pod is all about. And uh, once it recovers, I will definitely show you guys how it looks like. But yeah, not right now. So um, taking care of the chemo pod itself is another issue. So for the first few days until the pod actually dries up, I can't really wet the pod itself. So you will definitely require assistance when taking a shower, going to the toilet, and things like that. You will definitely need assistance. Yeah, so you can only bath the lower half of your body and probably just um, wipe the top part of it, especially the areas above the chemo pod. And hygiene is a definite must because any small bit of infection, then you have to redo the whole chemo pod again. So yeah, there's basically chemo pod in a nutshell. I wish I could share more, but that's about all I have. Yeah, if you like what you see, consider sharing, subscribing, and if someone wants to know how a chemo pod looks like, yeah, again, you wish share with them how it looks like. Of course, not the full thing, but yeah, this is probably how it looks like for now. And I'll see you guys in the days to come. See you. Bye.